Hey, what's happening? It's the Dirty South podcast. We are back, and last week, I mean, I know Georgia's been going 3 weeks, but last week Florida definitely opened the wrestling season. There must have been 300 things going on, and we had a lot of fun. But welcome to the Dirty South podcast, Brant, SE Wrestle. Man, we are definitely well. Brant and I only worry about Florida typically, but you must be crazy with the Southeast.
Yeah, see, I've learned. See, Brant doesn't learn. Brant needs to learn, right?
Yeah.
So so I knew based upon our conversation last week that I actually sat at my computer from Saturday, all day Sunday to be able to do a weekend wrap up on Monday morning. Because if I had gone to a tournament, I would have been screwed. I never would have finished. And Brant knows this. He's done this for a long time now,
Very
and
long
yet
time.
he shows up, which is fantastic to show
Oh,
up.
I had
But
a great
man,
time. I my
how many late nights did you put in?
Oh, it's been pretty insane. But first off, Saturday was great. My daughter and I went to Pecaliga first and watched some duels there, and it was just so great. She loved the atmosphere, and she only usually goes to, like, really big, huge events, and she loved that it was three mats in the gym and everything, and watching duels. And then we went to Freedom and saw just a fantastic final round. But yeah, so by the time we got home from that, I lived a little over an hour from Freedom. So it was like 10 o'clock. I put results up till about 2 a.m. Got up 6 a.m. Sunday and 4 a.m. Monday and 4:30 a.m. Tuesday. And other than some kids' events, shows, and concerts and driving around, I sat right here looking at every single result
Well,
that
at
I
least you're
had from the
dressed.
weekend. And
At least you're
there were
dressed.
times that was questionable.
Yes.
Um,
Oh yeah, but you got to see a couple of good tournaments. I
I got
mean,
to see
it.
some great tournaments. I got to see some
I,
great moments. It's the first week in Florida, and it is so hard to do rankings that first
oh,
week. There's so many kids that have improved and some that haven't. And so many kids I don't know about, freshmen, a couple movements I found out about, and weights I didn't know, and people moving around, and then just some great matches and upsets. It was a
We're gonna
lot.
we're gonna
And
get
I
to all
got him
that,
up though. I got him up by 7 p.m. on Tuesday.
which
So
was
there you go.
crazy. Which was crazy.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
didn't
we're gonna
think that
get
was
to
gonna
that
happen.
in just a second. I do want to ask you a question about the top corner before I ask Daniel a question, and that is listen to us on Spotify.
Yes,
I,
if
I
you don't,
couldn't find it, man.
it's really.
Yeah, so what do I put in? Like
Oh,
dirty.
you know what? It might be the Dirty South Wrestling podcast
Oh, because there's other dirty
because there's other
souths.
Dirty South podcasts. So I
I
put the
hope
Dirty
when you
South.
type in the Dirty South podcast, it's not something
It's
that
not. I
we
mean, it's on Spotify, so there's nothing that's um
that's
too
Dirty
vulgar, I
South.
Well,
don't believe.
you're with us, Dan. You're not suitable for work either. So
Because I searched for it, and that's how I found the
I
link that
am.
I sent you guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, listen,
was that a link that
yeah,
you sent me? Okay, all right, all right. I
I
need
was
to
a
share.
little bit. I was a little bit jealous of the two tournaments you were at. I love Jim Price, and I'm very loyal to Jim Price. And if it weren't for Jim Price, I would not have went to Osceola. But because he was
Dude,
there, I went to the Danny
Osceola had
Byron.
great action.
No, I loved it. I was there. It was a great tournament. But what I'm saying is, I went there because of Jim Price. It was awesome. I would have loved to see the Cocoa Beach Lake Gibson duel. I would have loved to see the finals at Freedom with the girls. There were some tremendous finals there. I mean, I heard that Juliana Case Zoe Delgado final was unbelievable.
hmm
I heard Zoe had her to her back in the first period, and then Juliana comes back and gets her to her back at the last period to get a takedown or something. It was crazy. Those two girls are incredible, and I think we're going to see that again come the final night in March. But uh, but but that being said, Danny Byron, it kicked off a little slow. The first wave of teams came in. Winter Haven wrestled tough, and
Yeah,
you
they did.
had some of the local teams come in the first wave. The people that are local in Orlando, because that's just easier for them. But then the doors
You get to
came
that
open.
last pool of day one.
Oh, yeah, you get into that. And then all of a sudden, who walks in? South Dade, Southwest, Wellington, Miami Palmetto. um, uh,
Camden,
Camden,
George
Camden
Jenkins.
1, Camden 2, Camden 3, Camden 4, Camden 5, Camden
Camden
6.
3 was up north.
Camden 3 was
And
in
then, and
was in
then
Oakleaf.
there was about 42 Camden kids that showed up. Yeah, George Jenkins came in. There was a few kids on George Jenkins I was really impressed with. They were tough. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can go down the list. They all showed up. So we started to get to it. And then the morning, I only stayed the morning of day 2, but that was really all I needed to do because the gold pool in the morning was incredible. And I got to see matchups like Swalarski and Solis. I got to see matchups like Graham and Weaver. I got to see matchups like Ray Shaw and Wilder. And
Yeah.
the first matchup was much better than the second one. Um,
That's
but
because
tough kids.
Shaw took him down in the first one, and Ryder's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah, Ryder hasn't been taken
No,
down in
no,
like
no.
24 months or something. And so that wasn't good. I mean, it was good. I'm glad. I hope Ray gets to wrestle him 50 more times because it's only going to make Ray better. And Ryder Wilder, I must say, he's a wonderful human. I mean, that kid just loves wrestling, loves people, loves what
He
he's
does.
doing. He's out there grabbing the camera from his teammates and taking pictures and, being a coach's son. I'm sure he has some of that in him. And it's pretty cool. But, Southwest had I mean, the South, everybody was talking about South Dade, Southridge, and I, Coach Nick might surprise both of them. He's got a program and he's got some hammers and he's got some young kids. And, you know, I look good. I'm interested to see them wrestle again at Haggerty with the Southwest South Dade coming to Haggerty. I know we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
One kid that really impressed me was a kid at Wakulla. I believe his name is Will Baker. Will Baker. Number 7 on your rankings last week. He's probably moved up this week. Cabra at Wakulla. His first name's Will. I think it's Will Baker.
See, I was thinking of Harvey from
Will
Wakulla.
Harvey. I'm sorry, Will Harvey.
I don't know
Will
of any Will
Harvey.
Baker, but I was just
Will
letting you
Harvey.
roll.
Will Harvey. I'm sorry, Will Harvey. It's Will Harvey. I mean, I was thinking Will.
Is it even Will Harvey?
I mean,
Yes. The reason I said Baker is because he was baking this weekend. He was
I was gonna
cooking.
say,
He was doing
good
well.
in that coffee shop you're in? Are they baking some good stuff? I mean,
Yes. Well, that's my new nickname for him. It's Will Baker Harvey
so the guy's now going to be known as the baker because
he's
you're at a
baking, he
coffee
was
shop
cooking.
in
No,
Pensacola.
He wrestled
had a-
great.
He did
he
wrestle well.
wrestled
He's up to number
really,
6
really
in my
well.
rankings.
Yeah, I don't know if he won the second match because against a Southwest kid. I know he won the first one on day 1, but I don't know. They had to wrestle again on day 2. I don't know if
He made
Southwest
the
He beat him
finals, but
both
he lost
times.
in the finals.
Beat him
Sorry?
both times, 9-2 and 4-2. His only
beat
loss
him both
was
times.
only loss all weekend was to Kaleva from South Dade, who had a monstrous weekend.
Monstrous weekend. I've his dad
winning his weight class, but he beat Harvey 4-2.
Yeah,
Well,
I was sitting there.
You should say I mean, really, I want to make sure that everybody understands this. When you're a 6-pounder and you're going out one year and you're beating people and those sorts of things, that's an accomplishment and it's fantastic. But to be a 6-pounder one year and to be a 26-pounder the next year and replicating that type of success is not easy, even for the really good 6-pounders out there. Because
I mean, and he was
there's
just a region
huge
qualifier
difference.
last year, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't make the regions, but yeah,
I
monsters
think it was a
weekend.
weight issue.
So this is how
He
everybody.
beat
This
Harvey,
is
he
how,
beat Morales, he beat Zabella. I mean, just a fantastic weekend.
this is how Cabra does rankings. He beat the number 2 kid in the state twice, and he moved him from 7 to 6.
Okay. Well, if we want to
It's a
discuss
different
that,
class.
I know. I'm just kidding.
above him,
I'm just kidding.
and
I know it's
above
1A
him
and
is state
3A.
champion Kellen Messina, Elijah Casanon, Eric Perez, who has looked amazing at St. John Newman, Luca Zerka, who finished second at Captain Archer, and Leonardo Torres, who is a state placer. All of them are state placers above him, who won at Arlington Optimus. So
Don't
there's
be
nowhere
triggered,
to
Brant.
move right now until
yeah,
he
don't-
beats some of them.
Don't fall
Don't
for
be
it.
triggered, Brant.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Way
sorry.
to way to overcome the objection.
All right, so
I've had a
you
few
know what?
emails since 7 o'clock last night. All right.
We're gonna
Uh,
get into
well,
some of these picks and where
IB,
we did well and where
yeah,
we did
it was good.
poorly.
Well, IB in Panama City, guys.
I know. We're gonna get into some of these picks, what we did well, what we didn't from last week. Just to give you guys a heads up, after this weekend, it is the knockout, and we all three of us will be there. We'll have a lot of information going out and sharing information. I'm gonna make a media guide that's for the girls and the boys. I know we're gonna be talking about it a great deal, so look for next week. Not that we don't want to talk about other tournaments and everything else, but I think we will probably spend the bulk of our time talking about the knockout.
And it
Yes.
might be
Um,
the first time I think about it next Wednesday. So
wow,
Well,
that's
it's good
it's
because
got a
I'm
full
in.
weekend again.
Hopefully, I get to think about it too. I'm in Panama City Beach today. Gulf Breeze this weekend. Monday drive home. Oviedo Tuesday. St. Cloud Wednesday and Clote Thursday. Knockout Friday morning. So
anyone who's looking to to take Daniel out, you can write down his schedule. He'll be on the road.
yes,
You can just drive him right off the road right there.
yes, yes. Just tell
Um,
me about all the good coffee shops in your area because I like to hit the coffee shops.
so let's start. Let me just make sure I don't forget because I almost forgot last week. I wanted to make sure that I talked about the Southern Slam up in South Carolina. Fantastic teams from all over the Southeast. 57 team. Oh no, I think there were more than that. Um, And I mean, Baylor beat Buford in a freaking wild one. I don't know if you guys have seen it on Instagram as far as all the videos and different things like that. We are talking just some outstanding wrestling that happened. Baylor had four champs, and Buford had several. It's the type of tournament that, we all love to kind of see and everything else. But it's not the only tournament that happened last weekend. We had a bunch happen down in the state of Florida. You've already talked about Danny Byron, so we don't need to jump into Byron. I do want to delve a little bit more into Let Freedom Ring
Yes,
because
we
we
need
just
definitely.
touched on it. We didn't really get into it. And for me, that was the premier event for the girls. It might have been the premier event in the state. I mean, even with as good at tournaments that were all over the place. And I just want to ask the top question is how good Freedom looked this past weekend.
Well, let me tell you,
Agreed.
this is exciting to say. We have a rivalry in girls wrestling between South Dade and Freedom. That place turned into a dual meet crowd every time those two teams wrestled. It was intense. It was fun. It was everything that girls wrestling is trying to accomplish. I think took a big step this weekend because rivalries are great.
Yeah, they
Okay,
are.
Um,
and don't forget there was a little sneaky team that jumped in between
there
both
was
of those
yes.
two
Well, I
teams.
mean, I'm not demeaning anyone. Just let me tell my story.
Okay,
But yeah, no, but yeah,
no,
St.
I'm
John
just
Newman
kidding.
had a great weekend. South Dade was missing a starter who's now top ranked. But really just Freedom won so many matches and really kind of punctuated at the end. One of the as I told her, I talked to her afterwards, like she saved like the best moment of the whole day to the end. Michaela Mavis um
Heavyweight.
pinning Kenzie Barrett at 235 and just wow, just the place. Whoever was left, if you left early, I'm sorry. You missed just a great match between two of the best heavyweights in the state, maybe in the Southeast. Just so strong and both of them so technical and talented and she held in there, improved on some things from last year that she'd wanted to get better at and found her moment and threw her and the place erupted and just from that standpoint, not rooting for either wrestler, it was just a fun moment just to be in the mixer, trying to get a picture as the entire mat fills with people cheering. Yeah, just fun and so much.
So you talked about that environment, like how was that environment? You were talking about those two teams and everything else. Man, the White Ramirez duel, at least on paper, looked like it was a freaking great match.
It
It's
was.
South Dade Freedom. I can just imagine you have this defending state champion who has just been unbelievably great. She
Yep.
gets pushed in
She
front of
was
this
pushed
big
to the end. Of
crowd.
course, judging by her facial reactions when it was over, she's like, What? What's all that noise about? Um, like, yeah, okay, you guys cheered. I won. But that was a great battle, and that place was loud. That was probably the loudest it was, just because it was earlier and there were more people there. The most intense was obviously 235 final, but yeah, a great battle, and she held on,
It's been a long time in our state since Willow White's been pushed a little bit like that.
yeah, and she was pushed at the end.
Yeah. So just a couple of things to talk about from that. Marin beating Caceres in the finals
Beating
at
Caceres
100.
and Bowie and pinning them and looking incredible doing it.
Yep.
Caceres was never in the match. I wasn't there for the match with Bowie.
I believe she went through 3 ranked girls on the way to the finals.
Yeah. I mean,
no?
she did, but she pinned 1 and 2 in the semis and the finals, and really just controlled the final. And this is coming off of her win at Seahorse. Just that was one of the performances of the weekend, I think.
Well, and
And
you
what
had
a
little
great
Hig
start. What a great start by Marin for the season. I mean, she had the sudden victory win over Paola at down in
Seahorse. Yeah.
Seahorse, and those 2 girls are 2 of my picks to be there at the end in that weight class. So I'd love to see them match up again. But then to walk through, she basically walked through that tournament in freedom was unbelievable. Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, and last week we talked about how good Johnson looked at 105, and yet, boy, little Higgins is
Oh boy.
she is tough.
Elizabeth, I saw her the day before at Osceola because a lot
This
of the
is good.
girls that came up with their boys, they allowed them to go into the lunchroom there and they laid out some mats for the girls. So a lot of the girls that came up from with their teams were allowed to
Got their
practice
workout in.
back there. Yeah, so I saw baby Higgins and I go over to her and I said, "Don't worry, I'm not taking a picture." She hates pictures, as you know, Jason. And I go, "Hey, what's up? What wave are you thinking about going this year?" And she said, 100 for the season, but 105 this weekend for Jocelyn Johnson. And I said, "Really? Last time she beat me in criteria, and I want that one back." So I think she did that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
And
she is
Jocelyn Johnson has looked incredible.
Yeah.
yeah.
Baby Higgins just looks on another level right now.
All right,
She
we
was
could
that
spend
day.
the
A
entire
couple
hour.
names before we move
Yes.
on.
Yes.
I want to
Sorry.
mention Melissa Gallo looked top notch in her performance in that one. You mentioned Juliana Case, so we don't need to talk about her. There was one more I had written down. Vanessa Whitelock.
Very good.
Just went through her weight class. 11 ranked wrestlers is how many I counted in the bracket, and just looked to be the class fit. So we want to make sure we get those 2 names out.
Well, and
From,
one of the things
from Admiral Farragut, right?
yeah,
yes.
and one of the things
Yeah.
I loved about Vanessa's run was that it was a bounce back. She lost 17-15 last weekend, and the fact that you can kind of put that in your back pocket and kind of learn from that situation and then come out and do something different the following week. As a coach, that was super important.
One more. I can't believe I almost missed this one. Sarah Walsh, Middleburg.
Great run.
Knocking off the girl from Georgia who's won knockout, I think, the last 2 years. I don't know how many state titles she has. Getting is one. They listed they before the match. They or somewhere someone listed what she had done. But beating her and then going into the finals and really looking great at 135. Definitely need to. I can't believe I missed that one. She was one of the performers of the day.
Yeah. So and Marigana Lau is who we're talking about from Glen Academy, and she is. I mean, she's won the knockout twice in a row. She'll come back this year for try to actually equal Gabby Tedesco's mark of being a 3-time knockout champion, which is the highest that we've ever had.
Who's Gabby? Any good?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Number 2 in the country right now.
All right. So who has to eat crow for Let Freedom Ring?
Me. As a matter of fact, I phone called David Bush 2 days ago, and I blamed it on you guys. I said, "Well, they picked
That's
you,
another
David,
reason
so-"
people look at me mean when I
Yeah.
walk into places
said-
now. They know we
I
do
said
picks.
I said they picked you, and I didn't want to be like everybody picked the same one, so I took South Dade, and he laughed. But The one thing I like about Dave is he's like, Dan, it's the beginning of the season. South Date's not healthy.
Oh,
St.
it's a
John
long
looked good.
season. I mean,
He won't give himself the
I
credit that
when I
they
interviewed him
deserve.
after, the
But
first thing I said was, "I know you hate to do this, but tell me why your team was so great today."
he won't. That's like talking to Nick Saban. He's like, or not Nick Saban. The coach that's at North Carolina now. When you heard him do interviews, he'd be like,
Belichick.
David's,
No,
yeah,
no, no.
David's
He's
like,
David Bush is much nicer than Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is the worst coach. As a media member who covered him, the worst coach
what
to
I'm
ever deal with.
saying is
He is
his
more Lou
answers.
Holtz, Notre
Yeah,
Dame-ish, where
yeah,
everybody is better than us. And
right.
oh shucks, we
Uh,
just happen to do okay today.
oh, nothing makes me happier than to see Notre Dame out of it.
Ben Richards girls, all
Yes,
of us picked Bell Creek. We were all wrong, although they did finish fourth. Tiff County from Georgia came down and actually won that. I'm going to throw out a name. Jordan DeGlace from Strawberry
yes.
Crest had a really good tournament. She was one of my picks as a hammer of the tournament. And that's what stood out to me. Do you guys have anything to add on Ben Richards?
Great guy.
Hannah Ferret at 100 for Bloomingdale came out, beat some ranked wrestlers. Kind of stood out to me in a weight class there that was fairly deep.
Yeah, yeah. And pinned the girl in the finals in like 48 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Do you have anything to add there, Daniel, or no?
No, I think I was going to mention the same thing with Jordan DeGlaze and Strawberry Crest. She just looked good, opened up the season well, and looking forward to
Cool.
see what she does moving forward.
We head up to the Panhandle where Daniel is at the moment, and
It's cold.
I think we have to tip our caps to Brant because Brant was the person who picked Pace. Am I incorrect?
No, Paces was at the Cam Brown Classic. You actually got Border Wars right, but
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
with
talking about Cam Brown.
Jefferson.
Yeah, you picked Pace, right?
Yes, is that or yeah, Cam Brown.
Yeah.
Pace.
And and Daniel, you had Florida High, and I had Lincoln. They were followed by a couple of Georgia teams. It's always nice to get tagged by different people. We got to talk. I got to see Jasper Crooms, like some highlights from him and that sort of thing, and that was super cool to see. Anything stood out to you for Cam Brown?
I got to
I
be
mean,
honest. I didn't even look. I've been so busy. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
I
Go
will
get
tell you that people reached out to me and I knew Pace was going to be good. I think just the level of how good they were. Yeah, guys like Dominic Baxter having a great tournament, and Joshua Waring gets a win, and I think not just the guys on top of it, is the depth that they have. I kind of, I can't say I cheated to pick them, but I've had people tell me about them and how good they are, and they proved to be very correct in giving me that tip because Pace looked so good across the board. And
Well,
I
and they
think
had,
this
I
is a
think,
team
like
we,
7 champs.
yeah, I mean, this is a team we could see in Kissimmee this year, in the region finals for duels.
And you know what? We're going to talk a little bit about the
I know they
district
start
duels
today.
here and that start today. Like I don't even understand how that even happens. We're going to
We've
get to that
actually
in a
already
second.
had one duel from last week that was part of it, but tonight there's three district duels being competed.
All right, Daniel, you can share our story as it relates to the H Town Throwdown and the fact that you like to talk sh- shit behind my back with people because I did not pick Matter Lakes.
Well, you owe them 2 beers.
First off,
Yes,
the fact that we are inspiring a defending state champion that's loaded, I think says a lot about us.
yes.
That we are able to
Well,
get this team motivated the way we
one
apparently are.
look. I think I like the Tovar family, and I think Giovanni Tovar is a great young man. And a lot of times, if you see me out and about, or you hear me talk about Tovar in our state, I mention death, taxes, and Tovar. It's about the most guaranteed thing we see in a wrestling weekend in state here, and sometimes nationally, right? Um,
A lot of times nationally, sometimes
yes,
around the world.
around the world, correct. So it's funny because I think I don't know if we all did, but I know I. Oh no, we didn't all pick Mater Lake. Someone didn't. So
That's what I was referring to. Where you have brain
yep, yep,
damage?
yep, yep, yep. So
Yep.
anyway, it's funny. It's funny because JD reached out. He's like, you know, appreciate the love, but Tovar is the real deal. I mean, the
He
kid is so
is.
good. And
But how good was Mater Lakes, man?
no, he's
Mater
amazing. And
Lakes?
Keegan, let me tell you how good Keegan Messina is. He's better than everybody else not named Tovar. I mean, it's not like this kid isn't great. He's outstanding. And JD is probably one of the greatest we have in our state at breaking down tape and coming back and making adjustments. But you just against Tovar, he makes adjustments to your adjustments, and it's tough. But yeah, they look like the one to beat again in 1A. I mean, Cocoa Beach has a really, really, really tough lineup. It took a severe blow this weekend with Krauser.
Hmm.
Good luck to him. Get better, get well soon, kid. I want to see you back on the mat. But yeah, I mean, they're good,
Let me
good.
tell you why I'm bullish on Matter Lakes, and it's not any of the guys that you know. Jack Cabrera at 106 places third. Ron Flores finishes fifth at 113. You have a guy, where is it named? I'm a little bit behind here. Cesar Aguilar, who actually wasn't even scoring points, finishes second at 157. You have Daniel Perez, 215, finishes fourth. Maximilian Gazzaro finishes second. These are all guys that are not part of the state champion run, which maybe, some of us didn't know as much about going in. All scoring big points for them at a
Yeah.
tournament that's pretty tough. It's about as tough as you
Well,
get in 305 with a handful of the big teams
yeah.
out.
I'm
And they
also
went in
Bruce
there and
Lee.
just Bruce Lee is one of the champions and guys we've talked about a lot. I'm talking about the additional ones.
Bruce Lee's my favorite name in wrestling.
I don't know if he's listening to us. Jason, we just talking. He
He is my favorite name in wrestling.
and listen, he wrestled well. He beat Erickson Coney in the final 7-1.
Yeah, he did.
But I mean, that's what maybe when you look at Matter Lakes going into the year, maybe that's the fault of me. I didn't realize beyond like the top 7, 8 guys, they're also tough at all the weights. And I think they proved that this weekend.
One kid that looked good was Lucas Barrios. I know 2 years ago, as a young man, he was coming up and he had some big wins at a lighter weight. Last year, he made a state run last year, but I think he grew up so quickly. I think last year he was trying to get used to his new size and weight, and you could tell that people were just getting to him. But it looks like he's found his way. I mean, he comes through. He beats a really, really good kid in Ethan Tran in the finals, and
Also
yeah,
beat
he,
Chiang from Southridge in the semis by a point.
yeah. So he's
Mhm.
somebody that it seems like he's coming into his own. Um,
So,
yeah,
so I guess the question I would have, and Brant, you were making the point as it talks about Matter Lakes, is that so how well do you think they'll do at a tournament like the Knockout? I mean, you like your studs have to do exceptionally well, and they may or may not win. Um, but that's the type of event where if you can get some
Yeah.
backside points from kids' names that you just
I
mentioned,
think you might have,
that's how Camden wins.
yeah. I
yeah.
don't know much about knockout as far as who's coming from out of state. I was actually, this was a thought that was going through my head. I have thought about knockout, I guess, a little bit. I was like, there's not a Florida super team that sticks out like in the past, but maybe Matter Lakes is the super team that's going to be there with somebody Messina, Bruce Lee, Chris Green, Odell. These are guys that could maybe, they haven't had a champ, right? They haven't had an individual champ there. They're looking to change that. I
Yeah.
think Matter Lakes might be the team from Florida to watch at the knockout because they've got some heavy hitters and then they have some guys that might go 2-2. And those are key points when you're talking about those.
A
Tournament
team
like
that
a
we
knockout.
don't talk about a lot is John Leonard, and they had a kid at 175, Jad Urabari, that went through the H town, which Keep an eye on that young man at 175. It looks like they got a
Well,
good
and I
one
and I
there.
wanted to throw out Snowbrick from Olympic Heights, who beat LaGuardia from Southridge in the finals in at
Yeah,
13. That's a
that
solid win, dude.
that's one of my guys up for wrestler of the week. Yeah, or just to go back one step, Uri Barra, region
Yeah.
qualifier last year. He's got a history of getting wins, and maybe this helps with that confidence. I know he's been working year round down there,
Well, yeah, he
and
went to Fargo.
yeah, I mean, so he's really put himself full on in, and great to see him see the path with H Town, um, and get the win. What you were bringing up something I already commented on, but already forgot.
Me?
Jason, yeah,
Snowbrick.
Schnobik, that's right. Monster performance there to get that win. I wish I would. That's one of the finals I wish I could have seen. 4-2. You got number one versus number three in 3A. They wrestled last year, or I don't know if they did wrestle in the state, but two of the top guys at 113 and testing themselves
Yeah.
before
No
the season
doubt. No,
began.
I just look at, I don't know it as well as you do, but I do know the names, and I'm looking at it going, I bet you the hell that was a great match. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, so,
board,
I know Mateus, the guy of Doral, made a good run there too. But
yeah.
yeah, was that all the tournaments that we picked, or we got more to talk about?
No, we got a couple more. So Border Wars,
Yeah, the one I
up in the
misheard earlier.
Panhandle, Jefferson, out of Georgia, won. I think Brant, you picked Jesuit, which took fifth. Jesuit, Louisiana, took fifth.
Yes.
Um,
I feel bad about making that pick because I should have gone with those Florida teams. I never should have turned my back on the Sunshine State there.
well, and I'll tell you what, man, Gulf Breeze and Middleburg both wrestled exceptionally well.
Gulf
Gulf
Breeze
Breeze
has
is
really put
deep.
themselves on the
Well,
map.
they're deep until 75 or 65, 75. They kind of fall off there if they can find a couple guys for those spots. But with guys coming back, they've got a couple out of state guys that have come in. They are deep, and they showed it this weekend. I think the only thing they'll need is maybe some bigger guys. But boy, were they tough this weekend.
So I had a conversation with the Jefferson crew, and they were like, we're coming for Camden at the knockout."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, well, we'll see, man. They do have them. They do have their studs. It'll be their other kids who would like how they end up whether they end up being able to take them out or not. Wyndham Rotunda was another one. We all missed.
We all missed.
Oh,
I think you picked Zephyr Hills Christian Brand. Dan and I both picked Columbus and Palm Harbor, man, won by 3.5 points over Columbus. They look great. Palm Harbor was outstanding.
yes, good for Palm Harbor and good for Coach over there. Nothing makes me happier than to see Avramitis on his A game again and working. He's happy. He's working hard, and you can tell where his team is at. Means that they're doing special things there, and good for him. Good for him, and good for Palm Harbor. I'm really happy to see it for him.
Yeah, no doubt. They wrestled great. I mean, and
Yep.
Zach Berry, I think, beat Columbus wrestler in the finals. And that's I mean,
That's how
when
you
you
seal
only win
those.
by 3.5 points, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And we mentioned East Lake earlier with Lake Gibson. Daniel, you were there, right? No, Brant was there.
I went by East Lake for a little bit and got to see the very tail end of Lake Gibson Cocoa Beach Russell. Got to watch a little bit more after that. It was a round robin, so like the match that we were waiting for was earlier in the day. So it's got a chance to see some guys wrestle. Just you could see a little bit of rust on some guys, but a nice tournament, really well run. Uh, and a fun event. See, the one that stood out to me was Tyler White with the big win that day,
Hmm.
in that match over Aquaveda. Um, just Aqua's, I probably got that wrong, but Tyler just
Aquafreda.
Aquafreda,
Yeah, it's not 1980s hair.
Yeah, I know my
Yeah.
my mouse or my mic is all wrapped up. But yeah, just how do I just a huge performance and really kind of uh, I don't know, kind of punctuated a win for Lake Gibson.
Yeah, they wrestled great. All right. So before we go to this week, I mean, yeah, there were just a couple changes in the rankings. Not very many, I know. Um, I, I guess if I'm
Maybe if you're looking
asking
at the top bar, but
if I'm
there's a
asking
lot
just
of changes.
the basic question, right, as it relates to the rankings, the basic question: do we have any new number ones?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, quite a few. I don't have a list I can go through quickly and tell you.
Um,
Obviously Schnobrick was 3. I move him to number 1 after he knocks off the number 1 wrestler in his weight class. Draven Thompson from Winter Haven, kind of mentioned him.
Oh, yeah.
He beat Caleb Williams. He beat um Southwest Miami Sebastian Gonzalez. I have him there for now, um, because that's kind of a big win. But I 32 is probably a toss up at this point. Uh, to really find someone there across the board on that might be it for 3-8. No, Nicholas Blake is a new number 1 because I confirmed his weight. And he went and won the Clash of Titans on the weekend. It'd be interesting to see him this weekend. That's going to be big. Tyree Graham moves to number 1 after beating Drake Bonney twice at Danny Byron. And that's it on 3A.
okay,
Wow.
so
So
my
that's like a
wrestler,
lot.
now that we're putting a bow on last week,
Yeah.
um, I don't know how anybody could have any other person as wrestler of the week other than David Beltran. He
Okay.
goes down to the 1A Invitational. He knocks out Motor and he gets outstanding wrestler.
That's a good
That
point.
is absolutely huge for a kid coming up from the Florida Keys, and getting a win like that is absolutely what a kickoff to his season. And I don't know how, is there anybody that got a bigger win than that all weekend?
Um,
On the guy side,
I don't
um,
know. Maybe not, but I will say in the same
I'd say
tournament,
Draven Thompson
Howard
being
Hill had a great
was
freaking run. He pinned Leota in the finals.
yeah. I would say actually Howard Hills is definitely someone on that list
On the list.
to think about. Marcus Bowie of Sandalwood knocked off one of the Tchaikovsky. I don't have their Tchaikovsky
Oh, he
wrestlers
did.
from Torco Creek.
So I want you to
7-3.
say their last name and the name of their school 3 times fast.
But yeah, I guess not as many crazy performances. I mean, Tyree Graham knocked off a state champ, but we're not shocked by
But
that.
I mean, that's state champ for state champ.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not the same thing,
Like,
probably.
and he may go up to chase down the other Bonnie. We'll
yeah.
see. Um, but yeah, I mean,
It's a good
that's a
point, Dan.
huge,
But it's
that's a
someone. I mean,
huge win.
the last
That's a
meeting Bonnie
huge
had won,
win.
so it's a solid win for him.
Right. But that Beltran win has got to be up there for last week. I mean, that's a big win. Motor is an absolute monster.
I agree.
So shout out to him and his coaches down there at Coral Shores.
Coral Shores, no doubt.
But what a great tournament. I know they don't do it like a team thing, so we didn't pick them. But what a great thing for Blaine to do, like a 1A kickoff classic down there at St. John Newman, and be able to, first of all, how smart is that? So he can get to see all the 1A people at the beginning of the season. But
I mean,
second of all,
they did a team race. They
how,
just didn't make our 5 to.
but how good is 1A? I mean, look at that tournament was fantastic down there.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And you know
And
what?
St. John Newman introduced us to a couple wrestlers that
That's
we
right.
may
Yes.
not have known about this weekend.
How about
this weekend.
Russ Haas?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, shout out to the Matthias family. I feel so bad for Gavin. You know, he was injured last year. He's had some knee troubles this year. Such a great kid. He's got the biggest gonads. He's out there trying to wrestle and fight hard. And I just feel terrible that he's been he's been battling these injuries. He's such a good kid. I hope he gets back healthy. Not That's not to take anything away from Russ Haas. Russ Haas is here. Russ Haas is here to stay, and he's a stud, an absolute monster. And I don't know what happens if those two do it again. But
Well,
it
and then
was
along those lines, Leyland Flaherty of Evangelical
Hmm.
actually got the win over Russ Haas. Grayson
yeah,
McDonald, St. John Newman, 106, score, finished first. James Sanders finished second, and basically the battle to finish second to Bryce Fiore at 113. You mentioned Russ Haas. These are just St. John Newman guys that kind of
yeah,
burst onto the scene this weekend. Braden Mills finishes second at 165. Knocks over, beats Keith from Coal Shores. I mean, it's I love first weekends. You find out some of these teams are even deeper than
yeah,
you thought, and St. John
yeah.
Newman's certainly
But
both sides, boys and girls, they're both deeper
but
than
anyway,
you may knew.
that's a kid I hope gets healthy because we've been looking forward to seeing him at the high school level and what he can do at the next level. And I just hope he gets himself together and gets fresh. Just a good thing. I hate to see people get injured like that, you know.
Um, so it must have been nice for you to look down at the Captain Archer there, Brant, and see Jackson Newton. You were wondering whether he was around or
As
not, and he
I mean,
ended
I
up
guess I
winning.
should mention that for my rankings. If anyone's looking, I've only had two people question them. If you were not, if you didn't have a green check next to your name and track, you're not ranked this week. And that was as of Friday night, and Jackson was a late one to be placed there, but thank goodness he is wrestling. We do get to watch him this year, and he started the year with a title at the Captain Archer.
No doubt.
But
Some
there's a
great
few
wrestling.
missing that might be added once once they go through the
You know,
assess
Brant,
and all that.
is it when you do your wrestlers of the week, is it just one or do you do a girls and a boys?
It's a boy and a girl, and I
Okay.
have a and then I do a team of the week. I don't pick the wrestler of the week. My readers do. I pick
Cool.
the team of the week for each
So you'll
rankings.
have a list of girls and a list of boys up for that vote sometime.
Probably sometime in the next couple hours. I had to stop working on that to talk to you guys about going ads and stuff.
And just to throw it out there,
Gonads.
Riley won last week for the girls. Who won for the boys?
There was no boys last week because
There
it
was. Oh,
was
that's right.
girls
That's
only.
right.
This is
That's
actually
right.
the first week of the boys.
All right.
And I usually take nominations, but I was so slammed this week just trying to get rankings out by Tuesday, as people kept reminding me that I say they're on Tuesday. And so I'm going to pick the ones to vote for this week. But usually on Sunday night, I ask people to send me their nominations for kids to be voted on. So it's completely out of my hands.
So let's shift to this week, and because we don't have a ton of time left. The big event, whether you were from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, anywhere in the country, honestly, is the Ironman up at Welsh Jesuit. Um, there are, I mentioned Baylor earlier from Tennessee winning the Southern Slam. They're taking their team up. Cleveland, Tennessee is going up there. There are four teams from the state of Florida headed in that direction. And I say teams because it's not really teams specifically. Um, the only team from the state of Florida that is actually going as a team is Lake Highland Prep. You got
And a big tournament
Gibson,
for them to kind of build off winning the national prep tournament last year.
absolutely, and they'll be in the fight with Brecksville in Ohio and Wyoming Sem and Blair Academy and all the top programs from all over the country. Like I'll be honest with you, Ironman is there are 28 states represented. If you guys don't like the listeners don't know, it is it is probably the premier high school event in the country, in my
Yes.
opinion. I mean,
Absolutely.
Beast to the East is behind it, in my opinion. Ironman is the event, and as a result, you know, you got some teams from Florida, like Lake Gibson. You know, I know RJ Phelan's going to go up there. I don't know who else from Lake Gibson's going.
I would imagine they've got a handful.
Yeah, Merritt Island's going to take a handful of kids, and I've got Southridge down there, so I would assume Death, Texas, and
I
Tovar
was
will be
God, stole my
on
line.
display up in Ohio. Guys, I'll tell you, it's just an absolutely great event. If you've never been, it is a fun event to go and watch. It is in gym, and it's just wall to wall mats with just some absolutely great wrestling. So
I would love to go to it one day. I was actually accepted into Akron Walsh Jesuit before my freshman year of high school, and then we moved to Miami 2 months later, and I turned them down anyway. But it's a cool. I would like to go back to that school just to see wrestling there.
The premier event probably outside of the state of Florida, maybe the premier event in the Southeast anyway. At least one of them is in Cali in
Yes.
Tennessee. 33 teams, mostly Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama teams. But I will tell you right now, as a preview to next week, McCallie is a team like Jefferson, like Camden, who will be bringing some studs with them. They have dominated some tournaments this year, and they're looking to win a knockout title as well. But in the state of Florida, the thing that is kind of just bonkers to me, I mean, it's just bonkers that last weekend was the first weekend of the state of the first weekend of tournaments in the state of Florida for the boys, and tonight we have district duels to determine who are the duels
Yep.
teams in 2A 14, 2A2, and 3A2.
3A2 is actually tomorrow night.
Okay, all right.
Because they're doing it
Because that
at
makes a big difference. But yes,
they're doing it at the no, but I'm just saying they're doing it at
no, I know.
the Achalua Convention Center ahead of the big weekend of
Alachua.
Alachua.
I'll
See,
let you.
I don't know anything
God
about
bless
that
you.
account. I always stay everything away from that county. Because there's a school there that we don't cheer for in my house.
Oh,
But ahead of the Bobcat duels, they have their district duels there on Thursday night in that big convention center.
But that is wild. So just to take a second, right? And I know your predictions were for the IBT. They weren't for the duels. But in 2A 14,
I actually
you had,
made IBT predict or dual predictions. I never posted them, so I do have them here in front of me.
oh, you do. Is Jensen Beach the team to beat?
In their district, oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um, I have Jensen Beach and Martin County coming out of that one. We got a taste. I'm sure that, but that Coach McMath will tell you that you can't tell anything from their first one. And Battle of the Beach, they kind of have it as a warm up tournament on Friday night, the first weekend. They're a little deeper than people may think. I know they've graduated so much the last couple of years, and they're kind of rebuilding, but they've got some young guys coming in.
They do.
They will not have a problem in their district duels. But and I look to see Martin County be the second team out of there.
And then over in 2A2, you've got some teams that just showed up this past weekend up in the Panhandle and wrestled really well. Middleburg looked great at Border Wars. Lincoln was up at Cam Brown. You got a few other teams in there. I would think that it probably comes down to those two programs as far as the duels go in 2A2.
It is, and last year Middleburg kind of broke through and became like that complete kind of team. They won the district and they beat Lincoln in the region semis 48-25. I kind of expect that again. Middleburg just a little bit deeper. Lincoln maybe a little banged up and still kind of figuring out some parts. Middleburg is a team for like right now, and I think they'll kind of flex a little bit of muscle in that one.
Yeah. And 3A2, you've got some really good programs there.
Yeah,
Buchholz looked really pretty good at Eastlake.
they did.
And Flagler Palm Coast obviously won up at the Oakleaf one, which was also duels. I'm seeing a trend here. The teams that seem to have early duels, district duels, are attending dual tournaments for the most
They
part,
are,
which seems makes a lot of sense.
in
But I would
fact,
think
at Eastlake they were taking some exhibition duels afterwards, and even though they had to drive all the way back to that town in that county that I can't pronounce, Buchholz stuck around to get another duel in, and just getting the kinks worked out and getting ready for because they knew what was coming up this week.
yeah. All right. Let's take a shift to the Panhandle where Daniel actually sits at the moment. And this weekend you are at the Ryan Blackwell Tournament Invitational.
I
But
am.
what can we expect up there, Dan?
Man, it's going to be a great battle. You see a lot of the Panhandle teams come up here. and you see teams coming in from Georgia, Alabama, and those kind of states. One great thing is Tampa Jesuit comes up to this, so we're going to see Tampa Jesuit there. Um, they're a team that should win this whole thing. I mean, I can't imagine they won't. But what's really good about it is Gulf Breeze is going to get to see really how good some of their kids are because they're going to get to go against one of the best teams in our state in Tampa Jesuit. So we're going to get to see that. You also have North Bay Haven coming over. So we're going to see Bear and we're going to see Coa Deloach. So we're going to see a couple of tough things there happening.
Speaking of which, your picture from just a couple days ago.
Was that killer or what? I mean, it's crazy. The Shannon Hanna commented on it. Kennedy Blades liked it. I mean, like all people all over the place have seen it, and it's pretty cool to see that the reach it had, and it was fun. Other photographers asking me how did I do that, so I kind of tell them.
So he's like a magician who shares his like tricks. I'm like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, but it's fun. But I think that we're going to say it's a great event. It's the Ryan Blackwell Invitational for those who don't know. Back in I believe it was 2019. He was shot 6 times during the terrorist attack at the United States in Pensacola. Through that process, he was able to save his people in his room. There's a whole story on YouTube if you want to go listen to it. But through that all, he started the Ryan Blackwell Invitational, which obviously benefits that and people that go through that. And I wanted to get up there the last few years, and I haven't been able to. And this year, it's going to be nice to get up there. He does a girls' version of this in January, so you'll see a girls' version of this in January. But on Saturday, he's got the high school, and then on Sunday they do an IOF, so you'll get to see all the little kids come in and wrestle there. So it'll be fun.
And also, don't forget Will Baker will be Will Baker Harvey will be wrestling there. Talk to him and find out if he likes
I'm telling you,
nickname. I think he will. I think if I told him about the nickname,
that boy
he'd be
was
angry.
bacon.
You tell him and he'll love it because everybody loves you.
Yeah, because he earned 1 spot after beating the number 2 kid twice.
All right, let's stay on task because we got to wrap this up because Daniel actually needs to get to his shoot.
Yes.
Gene Gorman duels. We've got 15 teams. Charlotte, Jensen Beach, Southridge is there. Wellington is there. I'm interested in a pick. Do you guys have a feeling after this weekend of who might win Gene Gorman duels?
First, let's pick. Let's go back to Ryan Blackwell. There's an interesting match. Yeah, you got Gulf Breeze there. You've got Jesuit.
I'm taking Jesuit.
You didn't take Jesuit?
I'm taking Jesuit too.
Okay, so we're across the board on that. I just wanted to put it down in writing that we were picking.
All right. All right.
Picking Jesuit to that one. But watch Gulf Breeze. Like I said, if they
No, they look good.
They got it'd be a good chance to kind of see where they are in comparison to Jesuit.
Well, I think we saw where they were last week.
But now we can see it compared to some Florida teams they're going to have to be compared into the season. They did well against those teams that I don't know anyone about. I would say Gene Gorman. I gotta go Charlotte. They're just the home team. Jensen Beach, I think they're tougher than we think, but they're still young. Southridge, depending on what kind of roster they bring up, they may have a little bit more holes on the dual side than I think they do on the IBT side.
But one of their kids is going to be at the Ironman, so they got no chance.
At least one there. So I'm going Charlotte to win their own tournament. Charlotte Gold, I think, is probably their better team, or Charlotte Blue, one of those.
What? How about you, Daniel? You gonna go Charlotte as well?
Nope, I'm gonna go Wellington.
You're gonna go Wellington.
I got to see them firsthand this weekend at the Danny Byron. They have the 2 Gray boys that wrestle really, really tough, and they've got a lineup that they're bringing 17 kids, and I think they
got a
pull it
big
off.
Dual win last week over Olympic Heights too.
Yep. And Southridge, obviously, if Tovar's there, that's a big difference. And I might have leaned it that way, but
it's a duel, so you only get so many points. It's not like a ton.
I like Wellington. That's what I like.
All
Well,
right.
I'm going to take Jensen Beach
Wow.
because I was very
that was my
impressed with that.
second. That was my number
I
two.
was impressed.
I was kind of Wellington, Jensen Beach. I felt like you were
Okay.
going to go that direction, so I wanted to go Wellington.
All right. So down at North Miami, you've got the girls tournament. It's in my DNA, I think it's called.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
a
It's
lot of good 305 teams down in that neck of the woods. North Miami wrestled really, really well.
and some
But I'm
girls that
gonna lean
that kind of introduced themselves this past
I'm gonna
weekend.
lean to Vieira. I've been very impressed with that team over the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
how about you
I
guys?
I have to agree with you on that one. I Vieira's uh, they're good and they're deep, and in a tournament like this, that's going to go a long way. You're going to have your Cat Kennys are going to score first and first place points, but you're going to have a lot of girls also up in that mix, and I think just the depth that they've shown they have will be the difference this weekend.
Daniel?
Baron Collier.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. I'm going to ask you why, and you're just going to tell me that they're the best team, and we're going to move on. So, all right. The 46th annual Palm Beach Christmas Classic. Just to throw this out there, to have a 46th annual, like we talked about last weekend with the Kiwanis or the
Yes.
Wyndham Rotunda, that is a feat. It has been around for a long, long time. It has ebbed and flowed. Good, really good participation, really good quality teams, up and down, that sort of thing. This year, there are some good teams in the mix, and I don't know if there is a clear favorite.
I like tournaments like this. We talked about this kind of off camera too. Like we go to so many big events, and it's always
Yeah.
the big teams. These are all good teams, and they're all I think kind of even in this.
Yeah.
And so even like last week, you had the Graves was just kind of that, but then Lake Highland shows up and it kind of throws the whole balance off. Um, I don't know who could win this. I'm torn between taking a Park Vista or a Douglas. Douglas graduated so much from last year. Coal Springs has guys back. All right, I have to pick someone. I'll take Park Vista.
All right.
We saw them wrestle over at Toho this past weekend, so we'll pick them.
Daniel?
Um, I'm going to take John Leonard.
All right. I love what Robert Moran is doing there. I don't know beyond their two hitters what they'll have, but it's a great chance to see what he's building there.
And I was down to Jupiter and Douglas, but I'm gonna go with Douglas. I also was thinking about the Kings Academy.
They are wrestling very well.
You know, it's one of the things that really stands out to me about this event is you get this nice mix of like different class teams. You have
Hmm
3A teams, you have 1A. I mean, Kings Academy is a 1A program. Martin County will have been focused on duels for a little bit. It'll be really interesting to kind of see how it plays out. I think you'll learn. I think Brant will actually learn a great deal about a
Oh
lot of
yes,
these teams
that'll be
from
one
this type of event. So
I will enjoy noting that one
I
out.
will I will go with Douglas. And we're gonna wrap it up at Johnny Rouse at
Oh
Haggerty,
boy,
which has probably the best tournament
my
in the
goodness, in
state.
Florida, yeah,
Yeah, in,
absolutely.
in, in Florida this weekend. Um I don't I mean,
Well, just while you're thinking, because I'm still thinking, you have 2A number one Lake Gibson, 3A 1 and 2 South Dade and Southwest Miami. You also have a Winter Springs team that showed that it has some depth, a Haggerty team that shows it has some depth with its stars. You have New Smyrna Beach, who kind of burst onto the scene. You have Riverdale, who last night beat Port Charlotte, who I had ranked. Riverdale will be ranked after today. Just so many, and George Jenkins, they're ranked in my duels, I think fairly high because they have so much depth. It's crazy how deep this tournament is so early for a duels tournament, and only 12 teams in it.
yeah,
So a lot of
that's
these
actually
teams
the thing.
will face each other, and you'll see a lot of them match up. It won't be like some duels tournaments where you maybe don't get some of the matches that you want to see. That'll happen because both days are pool tournaments also. So it's yeah.
Let's start with Daniel. Daniel?
Southwest Miami.
Oh, all right. I love it. You were impressed with them earlier, so I agree with
I
that.
was
Okay.
impressed with them. I saw them wrestle at Danny Byron. Obviously, listen, it's flipping a coin when it comes to those two, that rivalry down there. Um, but this week, this point of the season, um, I think they're going to win this one.
I'm going to take South Dade.
I like it. Can't
Is
go
it
wrong
best
with.
team, or are you gonna expound on that?
Yeah, so I was really impressed with the way they competed also at Danny Byron.
Yeah,
So I
really well.
wasn't there in person, but as Daniel knows, because I was texting him as he was on camera while I was
Yes.
watching Ryder Wilder versus Ray Shaw wrestle.
Yes.
I watched so much of that, and I watched so much of some of the kids that Solis, Armand Williams, these different kids. But I'll tell you what, the 215-pounder and Kalava, I was super impressed with
Yeah.
from South Dade. So
Listen, nothing's better. I mean, there's not too many better things to watch in our state than sitting mat side watching Mick coach Verstuck. It's just an awesome scene, an awesome thing, and
well, and
and they
Gibson's in the
don't,
mix
and
here,
the
man. I mean, this is
kids.
going to be great.
No, Lake Gibson is clearly in the mix there, but we can only pick one team.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, I'm
So
going to go against your grains, and my first choice in my head was South Day, but then thinking about it, Lake Gibson is built for duels this year. They're going to do well. They're going to have some IBT guys that do well, and I know they don't have Phelan. But listen, assuming I actually, we need to find out who Gibson is taking up to Ironman because they might be missing a few other parts. If that's the case, South Dade. If Lake Gibson is close to full power, I would pick them.
this is
Although I will,
fantastic because those three teams are great. There's going to be
well,
some
and
kids that PP and the Cheerios, as I like to say, because New Smyrna's got some tough kids. We talked
no,
about
right.
Haggerty and
Winter
I
Winter
mean, that's what
Springs
intrigues me
and
too. Is there are a
George
lot
Jenkins.
of
George Jenkins got a guy at 190 that's pretty good. And I was impressed with Drew Taylor this weekend. Andrew Taylor, he had a really good weekend. They got a few guys that are wrestling tough right now.
It's going to be a great event.
there's
Really.
going to be a lot of ranking significant events or matches in this also. Yeah, as much as we're watching the teams and that's who we pick, you're going to see some things that may shake up rankings or prove rankings right. That's part of what has me intrigued about this also. And I'm not going to anything so I can do my rankings faster. But I may end up at this one though.
Nothing better than Pirates, Indians, and Eagles.
My daughter's
all
like,
right,
you need to go to
gentlemen.
Haggerty, Dad. You may
That's
see me there.
if I was in Central Florida this weekend, that would be my stop. Listen, there's a good tournament going on up at Horizon this weekend as well. It's always a good tournament in the season. It's not, you don't get the heavy hitters like you get at the Haggerty tournament, but you get kind of a bunch of young teams and young kids that battle out and are coming up in wrestling. So it turns out to be a really good tournament because it's evenly matched with the younger teams.
Oh, dude, we could spend a lot of time
like,
talking about lots of different tournaments.
Yeah,
honestly,
Fit to Win is this weekend. Steadwell Grow, kind of like what you're talking about, Horizon, a nice little
Steadwell Grow's
tournament.
at Port St. Lucie, is that right? Yeah.
So that area,
it's been around for a while.
So there's and on the girls' side, the Grenadier girls grappler is this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is always for Central Florida girls a kind of a weeding out process to see who. I mean, there's just so much we could be talking about.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen. We next week we break down. We'll dip into this. We'll
quickly
talk a little bit about the Ironman, but we're going to spend most of our time talking about the knockout and what happens next week. All right.
It's going to be a good week. Good luck to everybody. Peace.
Daniel, be careful with your Cheerios.